Hello, my lovelies, and welcome back to TSIME, our bicentennial 25th episode. All right, real quick, guys. I want you to go downstairs and I want you to click the like, okay? And I want you to leave a little quirky comment. Believe me, it's going to be fun. It's going to be the most fun you've ever had. I promise you. Go down there and click that button and tell me if you don't giggle a little. Like the Pillsbury Doughboy when you poke him in his little belly. I never thought that was fair. Always running around tickling that guy. I don't like being tickled. Most people don't like being tickled, right? But yeah, here we go. Hitting up that doughboy like it ain't nothing. So episode 25. We're gonna be doing a countdown now, because episode 30 is gonna mark the end of TSIME. I know. Believe me, it's just going to be a new beginning. There's always going to be something in my eye, but just not right here. We're going to be doing a little change. I haven't quite figured out all the aesthetics involved and all of the moves I'm going to make, but I am going to make some moves because I'm a little over the whole quarantine theme. I mean, quarantine's not particularly over, but it is over. So whatever, it's over here. And being secluded, you start feeling a little claustrophobic. Don't get me wrong. I like tight little spaces. Like I couldn't wait to get back. Once I was out in the country for a while, I couldn't wait to get back here into my little dungeon. I felt like I was becoming a dirty hippie. And loving it like way too much. Like pretty soon I wasn't gonna be able to come on here and vomit blood. Not when you're all full of peace and love, wanting to save some cows and shit. Which is something I couldn't do. Couldn't set the cows free, but anyway. Now, speaking of dark caves and claustrophobia and getting set free, I watched a movie on YouTube. Now, this movie has stuck with me for 4 days now. It's called The Last Descent. And it's the story of a spelunker named John Jones who dies in a cave. Now, I used to think about probably what were the top worst ways to die. One of them possibly being set on fire. I guess if you're a really big person, like you'd probably be terrified of getting like smushed. Little people don't want to get smushed either, but if you're a really big person, like getting smushed, ow, right? But yeah, getting lit on fire would have probably been to me one of the most excruciating ways to go. Although I hear that eventually the nerve endings are so burned that you don't even realize you're on fire anymore. And you go into shock and whatnot. John Jones died in a tiny crevasse, a little vein in the ground, 18 inches by 10 inches. So not even a foot. He's squeezed into this thing. One hand up, one hand down, and just tried to manipulate his way through this tiny, tiny, tiny vein in the ground. They were so far underground that digging to get to him was not even an option. I tell you what, guys, we're going to spend about 3 minutes now listening to the news footage from that horrible day. This was in 2009.
At some point in time today?
Freed is a relative term, Shauna. He was pulled back a little bit to a more comfortable position where he was in more of a horizontal position, but there was still 16 feet of that tight tunnel he was stuck in for him to get out of before he would be truly freed and be able to leave the cave. Now, a piece of equipment broke at that time. He has since slid back into that original position with his head down at a 60 or 70 degree angle, so a very uncomfortable spot.
Jesus. So at a certain point, they had him up and pulled back a little bit. And I'm sure for him, just scooching back even a tiny bit was like a golden light of hope. A ray of hopeful sunshine down in that dark, dark, dark cavern. So they did have him up out of that little thing about like this and supported by pulleys, but the pulleys broke and he slid back down like this. Unbelievable.
Was very worried tonight. The sun came and went Wednesday, and the Utah County Search and Rescue Team still surrounded the mouth of Nutty Putty Cave. Inside, 26-year-old John Jones had been stuck since 9 o'clock Tuesday night.
Being stuck in that position for going on 23 hours now makes it very difficult for him.
Only a single rescuer can get in the space called Bob's Push, an area only 18 inches wide and maybe 10 inches high. Jones' brother saw him enter the passage while they explored.
He had worked himself face forward through a series of tight passes, and he'd gotten himself to a point where he couldn't back up.
It's now been about 22 hours since John Jones became stuck in that hole inside the cave. Just recently, they've been trying to figure out a way to have him communicate with his family by radio.
Want to have the family have a chance to talk to him.
Man. So he was down there at this point, what they're talking about, for 23, 24 hours. Could not move a muscle. Could not move a muscle. And then they want to let him talk to his family. Like, I understand it's almost a have to. You have to talk to your family. But, God, the heartache. When you feel yourself just slowly slipping away and the hope is dying, and then you hear your family, that thing that you want to get back to, and you hear it there. It's almost like if you don't hear them at all, it's like they're gone already, and you're gone already, and it's just a matter of time. But to hear them again, it's like, must be excruciating.
His spirit's a bit.
Rescuers say Jones is exhausted. They were able to pull him to a more comfortable position for a short period of time and even provided him with food and water. But then equipment failed, and they were back to where they started.
Still far from being a recovery. It's a rescue. But the longer it goes, obviously, the more concern there is.
And tonight they're using every tool available to them, including some pneumatic tools, some air-driven tools, to try to make that hole larger, get perhaps an extra rescuer in there closer to him, maybe get a rope on him and get him back out of that tunnel, at least to a more comfortable position.
Now, it's crazy because they're using all these tools to try to get him out, and they're digging out the tunnel. But, man, you would think we are an advanced society. We are an advanced society. But we can't open up a small cave in the ground. We can't open up a tunnel. You know? That to me is just it's an eye-opener.
worried about, though, as he gets back out of that tunnel, at least to a more comfortable position. What they're really worried about, though, as he gets more tired, he's in that awful position down there, he will be unable to help them with his own rescue, and that's something they really need from him right now. They need him to put some effort into it and maybe get himself out, but he is exhausted is what they're telling us. Back to you, Mark and Sean.
Now, Fields, earlier today, we all thought he'd be out by now. Are they worried? Are they starting to get a little bit worried about all this?
They're very worried about him. He's in the cave, and it's quite comfortable in this particular cave, we're told. The temperature is somewhere around 68 degrees, but you're still in a very uncomfortable position. In fact, Sergeant Spencer Cannon described it like this. As you're going through that, you have one arm up, one arm down, and this man is about my size. He's around 190, 200 pounds, and 6 feet tall, so a very large guy.
Now, I've seen some footage of guys going through Nutty Putty Cave. There's actually online, on YouTube, as a matter of fact, a 5-part video series where a few guys go through this cave. And that's something I really suggest you look up. Just type in Nutty Putty Cave Part 1 of 5 and start watching. And man, let me tell you, when I was in T.C. Williams, there used to be a sewer system that went under the school. And it's now gone. They've rebuilt T.C. Williams, and I've gone into that sewer opening. And when you get back to where things start opening up and getting interesting, it's sealed off. So it appears they dug up all that sewer and possibly filled it all in. But when you're in those sewers, you're ducked down. So you can't stand up. And it's one of the things that's bothersome. You're waiting till you get through those tunnel passages till you get to a junction. Because in the junctions where the tunnels meet, it tends to be high spots with places you can sit down. And we used to just go back there and party. We used to skip school every day. Go to first period, and then immediately head off down to the tunnels. It was just something we liked to do. Now, in some of these tunnels, there were little tiny tunnels that kind of cut in. Like halfway through the tunnel, you'd see like a little tunnel on the wall. And when you look in that tunnel, it's just dark. And sometimes when you look in all the way back at the end of the tunnel, you can see a little light. And I remember one time me and my buddy decided we're going through that. And it was a tight squeeze. I mean, hands up ahead of you. You can't move your arms backwards. So you can't do this. This is about all I could do in there. So there was no putting my hands behind me. There was none of that. None of it. And when we started into the tunnel, I thought, this is pretty interesting. This is weird. About halfway through the tunnel, I'd been in there damn near 2.5, 3 minutes. It doesn't seem like a lot, but ask any entertainer, any comedian. You got to put up 2 or 3 minutes of good material. It seems to take forever. Ask a kid in the corner who has to go sit in the corner for 5 minutes. How long 5 minutes is. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. It can seem to take forever. Now, it took me a good 5 minutes to get all the way through that tunnel. And about halfway through, I had this overwhelming need to straighten my arms out, to put them out to my sides, and to stretch my legs out and just stretch and stand up. But I couldn't. I was straightened out in the tunnel, and I was scooting through the tunnel like a worm, trying to push myself with my feet. Now, I didn't realize how exhausting that would be, trying to move my entire body weight with my feet and just my elbows and shoulders pushing against the side of the tunnel. And it hurt. So my elbows were starting to get scratched up to the point where it was intolerable. And I didn't want to move anymore. So I called back to my friend, Chris Farmer. Hey Chris, how you doing? I said, Farmer, you got to pull me back. Well, Farmer was bigger than me and told me, hey, I've already backed out of the tunnel. I couldn't make it. You're on your own up there. So that was a real defining moment in my life where I was forced to overcome claustrophobia, because when he told me that he wasn't near me, I panicked. And I panicked inside that little tiny space, and I could not move my arms and legs, and that's all I wanted to do. Sort of a human glitch in a way, where you want something you can't have, to the point where you go slightly crazy. This has happened to quite a few men I know regarding their women, or women that they consider theirs or that they want to be theirs. They start to go a little mad. Now, this leads me into the second topic, which is suicide. I've thought of it before. I've attempted it. I've attempted it in multiple different ways. I have pretended to attempt it. I have threatened it. Not ashamed to put it out there that I was one of those guys that thought that threatening suicide would fix the relationship. Not for very long. I mean, there wasn't very many girls in my life that made me feel that way, but there was some. And I came to realize after a time that it wasn't even those girls that were making me feel that way. It was my own inability to suppress and say no to myself. My own inability to accept that I can't have what I want. It's part of growing up. And most people grow out of that. So I would take the stance, if you kill yourself, good riddance. We don't need that gene in humanity. But then I think, there's a lot of kids who make a lot of mistakes. And there's a lot of kids who have a lot of stupid ideas and they don't think things through. But eventually they do. So had I succeeded in killing myself in the past, would it have been a good riddance thing? I don't think so. I think that me being here now, able to talk to you guys about these things, about the feelings that I've had in the past, is a positive. It's a positive thing. It's a good outlet for me, and it's a good way for you guys to kind of know, at least there's one more person. If you stumbled upon this show, at least there's one more person who knows what it's like to be so upset that suicide seems to be part of the narrative. Now, I don't really think it's an option, and I've come to realize in a lot of ways that when a person wants to kill themselves, well, let's just say this, there's a couple different kinds of suicidal people. There's the people who don't see the future as worth it, and they see the pain of the future to be not worth it either, and they want to just get it over with and end it. These people tend to be very lonely and just underappreciated people who think they're worth more than they're receiving in life. Let me tell you something I realized. Most of the time, when a person wants to kill themselves, it is because they want to kill somebody else, but they don't have the balls to do that. All right? You're so furious with this woman or with this person who's offended you or who has not given you what you want, and you're so furious with them that death is a thought in your head, but you're not willing to push it off and go kill that person. So instead you start thinking of killing yourself because the death part of the narrative doesn't want to go away, right? And in a lot of ways, suicidalism, I've come to find, is a cowardly thing anyway, and it's full of connotations of weakness. But imagine if you're stuck in a cave, upside down, and you cannot move. Not only can you not straighten your arms out, but you don't even have this wiggle room that I had when I was in the tunnels underneath the T.C. Williams. You don't even have this little bit of room where you can worm your way forward. Is it unthinkable that this person might want to die now? If the person knows, I have fucked myself and I am dying, do they have the option to say, listen, kill me now? Because, man, I've been thinking about it so hard, just the idea, just the thought of pushing yourself through, the sound. You know, when you're in a small tunnel like that, the sound is not echoing anywhere. So when you talk, it's like this little, it's like you're in a box. The sound's not really going anywhere. The people behind him luckily could hear him. His brother could hear him crying out and managed to crawl himself into that predicament to try to get his brother out. But holy moly, guys, the urge to die would be so extreme. And I feel like at a certain point when I realize that I'm dying and they're not going to be able to get me out and my mind is going, if I had a gun that I could reach, I would blow my brains out down there. And if not, I would be seriously plotting. I'd be like, listen, guys, go back out there and come back down here with some kind of injection that is going to completely knock me out. Please, knock me out. And then when I'm unconscious, inject me with something that is going to kill me while I'm unconscious. So the moment you inject me, I start getting smacked and I go out. And then I never wake up again. I don't want to wake up in that damn cave. Can you imagine the dream state if you fall asleep down there? Can you imagine the state of your dreams and trying to come out of that? I can't. And I can't think of another reason why suicide would be acceptable other than something like that. But in that case, I condone it. They said to pull him out would have broken his legs, to pull him straight out. I don't think I would want to go through that leg breaking scenario. Might go into shock trying to get me out of there. I might just die anyway. Yeah, so guys, this thing has been just racking me. I haven't been able to sleep. It's a movie I would suggest watching the way I watched it, which was scanning through and finding little spots and just watching those. Because there's a whole bunch of parts where it's just him thinking about his family and talking to his family beforehand. And him having dreams about being out. And it's kind of excruciatingly slow movie. I mean, what are they really gonna do with it? A guy is literally stuck in a crack, not moving, deep underground for 28 hours, and they want to make a movie out of it. The movie of the rescue attempt, I mean, the footage of the rescue attempt and all that, it's good content, but man, just him going down there. Can you imagine if the movie was just shot GoPro style from like ahead of him and him crawling down and he's stuck, and then the movie's 28 hours long with him just they gave him a lot of grace in the movie, but I can imagine at some point just being like, let me the fuck out of here, just going crazy. I would go in fucking insane. I would want to die. But I've thought this over. If I ever was stuck down in a crack like that, just take me out. Anyway. They never recovered John Jones' body. Nutty Putty Cave was sealed up. It was sealed up, and it is now his final resting place. Which is a shame, because that cave system was really cool. If you watch the YouTube footage of the cave itself, which was taken before 2009 when he went down there and died. But if you watch that footage, man, the cave is really cool. It's interesting. And it's a shame that they did what they did, sealing the whole thing up. I would think that what they should have done was left the cave accessible, but that part, Ed's push, seal that up and put like something on the wall there to commemorate that he's there. And that might even give people some second thoughts before they decide to shimmy down a hole by themselves without somebody there to back them up. And speaking of backing up, I really appreciate you guys watching my show. I'm glad to be back and giving you guys something to talk about. And, you know, just kind of awkward just in general. You know. Kind of like I feel like I'm every member of Bikini Bottom. I'm every character in Bikini Bottom all at once. Like I'm Patrick, I'm SpongeBob, I'm Squidward, I'm the squirrel. It's like I'm all of them at once. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and stay tuned. We're doing a countdown now. Episode 30, I'll be having a little celebration. But so, guys, that's it. I'm gonna stop talking. I don't never know how to end these things. It's always so awkward for me to end them. It's just, Andy, stop talking. Just stop talking. You know how many times people have told me to stop talking? Fuck it. Andy,